Today we're going to talk about manual handling injury prevention. Manual handling is something that we have to do. There's many injuries on the job that are caused by individuals moving objects by hand. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that strains and sprains are the most prevalent type of injury on the job. While these types of injuries can be hard to prevent, it's possible through taking the right steps and not taking unnecessary risks when we're completing lifts. So, what are some of the types of injuries that are sustained while completing lifts? Well, there's strains and sprains, repetitive motion injuries, pinch point injuries, struck by injuries, slips and trips and falls. So, what are the best practices for manual handling? Well, the single best action you can take from getting an injury while completing a lift is to eliminate lifting by hand. We try to do that. We can't always do it because of the situation in which we find ourselves. If we can eliminate it, elimination should always be the first consideration while we're discussing mitigating hazards on the job. Much of the manual handling on the job can be completely eliminated through proper planning or engineering controls or by using a piece of equipment to complete the lift. We also ought to pre-plan the lift when you're setting up any job area or placing an object down. The next person who has to move the object should be someone you're thinking about. If the object's awkward or heavy and there's no room for a piece of equipment to be able to lift it, then someone will have to end up handling it again. These situations can lead to injury. Properly plan out work tasks so that objects don't need to be repeatedly lifted and moved. Each time you make a lift, there's a chance for injury. Then also try to establish some weight limits for lifting. Another best practice is to establish a weight limit of what one person or a team of people are allowed to lift on a work site. Now, we don't hold to that strictly, but certainly we ought to consider when we're lifting something, how much does it weigh and how many people should be involved if we're going to have to manually lift it, and how are we going to get it to where we need it to go without putting people in danger. Try to limit how much you're picking up by yourself or even in concert with someone else. Some companies have the policy that no single person can lift an object heavier than 50 pounds, and a team of people can't lift anything over 100 pounds. That would be extremely difficult for us to have as a rule or enforce. Now, while you may be able to handle those weights, it's best practice to have an established point where manual handling is no longer an option. We would love to be able to do that, although I don't know that we always can because of the nature of the kind of job that we're actually doing. Injuries due to manual handling can be hard to prevent, which is why eliminating as many of these lifts as possible is important. Plan out your work tasks in your work areas to reduce the chance of manual handling injuries. It's important to know your limits and not to exceed them. Even if you are strong, it's easy to injure back muscles due to lifting awkward or heavy objects. So just think carefully before you start doing your manual lifting. Make sure you're using best practice, keeping your back straight, your legs about shoulder width apart, and try to lift straight up. Get help if something's heavy. Don't just get in under pressure and rush out and do something that's going to end up getting you hurt.